All right, so welcome guys to another JAI meet. So here we have Paul Thompson. I guess I'll let him introduce himself, talk about his company. He has a AI company called HelloScribe. So I definitely love to hear more about like how he got the idea for his company. How he got it started. Maybe any of the struggles that he went through in terms of getting it funded, and basically what's his vision for his company going forward. Yeah, welcome, Paul. Um,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Matty. I appreciate the invitation. Clearly this is a no show your face meeting, so okay, assume that.
oh,
But it's nice to meet you guys, and I'm very excited about you guys bringing up around AI in Jamaica. I think it's essential because there's so much happening in this particular space in the universe that is and it's going to have such a huge impact on our way of life in not a very long time from now, that I think, you guys having the foresight to put together a group like this is very important. And as you go forward and you get more members into your group, I mean, you guys going to be, the pioneers in terms of bringing a lot of this to, you know, to public reality. Um, as for myself, um, Paul Thompson, as I said before, my background is in marketing, right? So I went to UA, I did a degree in English and, was a research assistant and, did the postgrad studies and all that. And I, prior to my migrating, well, moving here for a little while, I'm in the United States. I was in an ad agency, marketing agency for about 10 and a half, going 11 years. And my work was really around creating communications of all kinds, a lot of the print ads, TV ads, billboard ads, building websites, creating copy for different scenarios, writing proposals. This is something I've been doing for a very long time. I mean, my first business was while I was in UA. I had in my final year, like many final years who come from country, excuse me, I didn't have any money. But I started a business writing resumes for final year students. And that's where I got my feet wet in terms of, you know, my now wife encouraged me to register that as a business and do it. And so what I did is I created this room in my in my in my dorm, in my flat, and partition the room in two, and then put all of my stuff behind a curtain, all of my suitcase, whatever, and then had a curtain up at the front side of the room, and then I set up an office. And I opened the door, and people would come in, and I would sit down. I would talk to them and interview them. What are your career plans? Blah 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 blah. Um, let me write a resume for you. And then interview them, thing and thing. Write a cover letter, write a resume. It was very good exercise, but nobody, people never want to pay me at time. So it was it turned out not to be a good business, but a great learning experience. Which prepared me for sort of the world of marketing and advertising, which was something I'd always been fascinated about. And I had the good fortune of working for the person who would become my mentor, but somebody who I had looked up to ever since I was a child, listening to him on the radio, late Adrian Robinson. Um, he ran a company called Marketing Counselors. And in the final years of his life, he died maybe a year ago. Um, I had the good fortune of working with him in the ad agency, um, and learning all the ins and outs of the marketing business from someone who had been in it for 50 years. So I really got a first-hand experience of all the ins and outs of running a marketing business. Now, obviously, with that kind of background, naturally, when I came to the United States, what I wanted to do was you know, I wanted to start my own agency, because most people who used to work in an agency in my capacity probably want to start their own agency, and they probably don't want to, you know, end up in a sort of formal corporate job. So that was me. Well, what I recognize is that United States is a whole different ball game. Um, and so, and working for yourself in an agency, with with very little resources is hard, because you have to manage the different aspects of the business, but you also have to produce the work. So in 2018, when I moved here, I moved around for a bit, and got some clients and things like that. And then a year later, I really wanted to find a way to become more efficient. And so that's where the story of the AI started. About April 2019, I found a software that allowed me to write articles, um, on different things. Now, the language was very good that it put out, but it was kind of a little, nonsensical. Those were the early days of the what you call large language models, which are now popular in this domain of AI, in the NLP domain. And I started playing around with it. Um, and then a year later, in 20, maybe in September of that year, so October of that year, I decided I was going to start an agency that used AI and humans to put content together, for clients all over the world. Um, and so went in and we started and we got a few clients. 2020 happened not long after, like March. Um, and at that point, we discovered that, as most things go, whenever there's a crisis in an organization, one of the first set of people that trying to let go is the marketers. Um, so it took me maybe another 6 to 8 months last year, 2021, to finally decide that what we would do is would pivot our agency into a full service SaaS software. And by that time, I mean, we had the idea, but by that time, we had seen a couple of people pop up in the market with products like what we had in mind. But what made us different was the fact that I had all this experience. Um, I had a good partner who was supporting me for many years. Um, and then we just decided to go for it. Um, so we took up all we had and we invested it into building the software. So in January of this year, sorry, in March of this year, we launched like a prototype somewhere in maybe November 2021. Um, didn't get much traction, but by 2020, so we had to, based on feedback, we had to, do a lot of updates. And then in March of this year, we launched the version that we have now. And so we've been at it since, trying to court customers, meet people, different things. What makes our software a little different than what everybody else is doing in the market is that we have built our AI around what we call tools of the trade. So anyone who works in media, whether you work in PR, marketing, journalism, advertising, show the four main categories that we covered. There are certain tools that people use in these. So when I say tools, what I mean is, writing a script for the radio, for example, because in Jamaica, radio is still popular. And now that people have podcasts, radio, all the advertising is popular. People still write TV ads. People still write, print ads, because newspapers, for although they're dwindling, they're still popular in some places in the world. Banner ads, writing articles, but also being able to brainstorm ideas around marketing, around innovation, around all of these kinds of things. And so we decided that we were going to build a complete package of tools that professionals could use to enhance their daily work. And that is sort of the mission of HelloScribe as it is today. I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to see what we've been up to. But if you wouldn't mind, I can, if it's okay with you, I can, just share a brief screenshot of what we're doing.
Yeah, you should have share screen capability.
Okay, all right, cool. Let's make sure that everything here is working. Okay, let me just log out here. All right. Right, let me just share my screen here. And this is not a monologue, so feel free to chime in if you guys have any questions. I really didn't prepare a presentation per se, but I wanted this to be more of a conversation. Anyway, this is what we've done. This is HelloScribe. And our positioning is rev up your creative engine. And essentially, we're inviting people who are professionals in advertising, marketing, PR, and journalism to be able to use our tools to generate ideas, content, and copy in seconds. And as I said before, what we do is we've created. By the way, are you able to see my screen? By the way.
Yeah, we can see this one.
Okay, cool. All right. So essentially, how we set it up is to be really simple to understand. Essentially, you go in and you create a project, right? And we have developed tools across 10 different categories, right? So Brainstorm is one of our more popular tools, and we're able to leverage our AI to generate ideas for any type of scenario. So how might we make the AI Association of Jamaica more popular, right? And by clicking that, you can generate endless ideas, right? So this is good for companies, organizations, clubs, professionals within individual entrepreneurs, anybody who does marketing, advertising, PR, anything.
What?
And yes, I'm here. Yes, so you're able to generate ideas for all kinds of things, publicity ideas, podcast ideas, video treatments, so like music videos and things like that, viral videos, social media, you name it.
I'm impressed by how coherent all of the output seems. So how did you go about training
Okay, good question. So again, we first started with an understanding of how professionals in these industries think about the work that they do. That's the first point of entry. So because of the advances in the language models that now exist, I mean, most people would have heard about GPT-3 and all that. There are others in the marketplace. I mean, there's one that came out 2 days ago named Bloom, which is like equivalent to GPT-3. So there are a lots of models like these out there. To the specific question in terms of how you train these models, the question is what the use case that you're thinking of. You have to think about the use case in a way that the user would think about it. And we've created a lot of examples, a lot of synthetic data that we created, and then went through each sort of training example very deliberately using popular examples. Like, for example, if you wanted to develop an ad campaign, you would to the copywriting section and you say, give me a headline for the Advertising Association of Jamaica. Sorry, the artificial is just artificial intelligence Association of Jamaica. So let's say you were doing that. We would have thought too, okay, what are all the greatest campaigns of all time? What some of the greatest headlines that you've ever read, some of the greatest billboards that you've ever read, we went to an extensive search to find all of these great examples, and then we put them in here, right?
So what's like the size of the team you guys had to use to get through all of that and write down all that information and stuff like that?
Well, it was really a solo effort for the most part.
Really?
Yeah, it was a solo effort for the most part. As I said, I had the good fortune of having a partner, aka my wife, who was very supportive of me. So a lot of the things I would ordinarily have to do at home, she would give me the flex and the space to be able to spend the nights and days doing this. So most of this work was done by yours truly. And again, I said, because of my background, I've been collecting a lot of things for many years. So I've been collecting a lot of ads. I have like just for my own work, because I used to do a lot of writing for proposals and press. I mean, I've done all of this stuff over the years. So I have an enormous library of not only stuff I've done, but also my own library, as it were, of ebooks and videos and stuff that I've collected over the years. So it was probably a bit easier for me to put this stuff together than than perhaps the ordinary person would have.
It's very, like, you seem very well positioned to take on a project like this.
Pardon me?
You seem very well positioned to take on a project like this in a way that, like, probably I definitely wouldn't be able to do. Have access to all of that data.
Yeah, and I mean, because the thing really is now, like whatever because I mean, AI, as is a very large field. I mean, everything from computer vision all the way to different kinds of data analysis and deep learning and medical and health and education, and there's so many categories one can think of. So anyone who is thinking of using any of these language models in particular to develop tools for this kind of a thing, the best place to start is to look at what you're doing now. That's the best place to start, because by now I don't know how old you guys are in terms of your experience in your profession that you do every day. But if you have at least 5 years, then that means you have at least 5 years of information that you would have collected over time. And so that becomes extremely valuable for whatever you want to do. So in going about all of this stuff, we already had, as I say, about a decade's worth of experience, writing all of these kinds of different things for the different people. And we wanted to make it easier for people to access these tools of AI and society. Some things we are still learning. There are still some in terms of like deficits that we have programming wise. So a lot of stuff I had to train, teach myself, JavaScript in some instances. I had to teach myself.
So question, you were responsible for the website as well, or somebody else did it?
Like a lot of the design concepts and stuff I came up with, but I mean, I had help in terms of putting the front end together, putting the back end together. But as again,
that looks nice as well.
Yeah, man, thank you. But because of that, my just curiosity, I had to be able to, again, with the help of my partner, we had to be able to go and we had to be able to instruct people what to do. So if you have a man build a house to you and you don't know how house build, then you can build anything here. You know what I'm kind of way? So we had to familiarize ourselves with different frameworks, with different, and I mean, we did this in a very short window of time, mind you. So I am no JavaScript expert, but I can help my way around JavaScript. You know what I mean? And so because of that, we're able to, help other people, to help the folks that we had enlisted to put together a proper product for us. And so this is some of the stuff it's able to do, things like writing articles, brainstorming, copywriting, headlines, media pitches, messaging for PR, taglines, elevator pitches for your like your pitch decks, marketing angles, bios for your things, press releases, questions like for market research, for interviews, all kind of things. Quotes, like original quotes. You need a quote for your speech, or you need a quote for something, you can come up with an original quote. All kinds of social media posts, and in different parts, different summaries. So like the summary, as we call in the introduction, paragraphs, conclusion, even things like log lines that you use for writing movie scripts, SEO meta descriptions and stuff. And we have a whole host of other tools that we are building out as we speak. So so the goal was to be able to put together something that would be useful to people, first of all, in the profession that I'm from, because I understand some of the challenges that they have. But then more broadly, to be able to make these tools popular, expand around the world. Now, naturally, we had challenges with funding, because in the United States, I mean, if you have a network and if you're belonging to a particular, in some communities, you have access to capital much easier. For ourselves, I mean, when we came here, we didn't have any access to any of those communities or any of that capital. So most of this stuff has been, bootstrapped and savings and bartering and, but just dogged determination to get it from an idea to something that is competitive. And like the challenges that we currently have, sometimes we have challenges finding the right talent. Sometimes we have challenges, just regular challenges that you face when building any kind of product of this sort. But I think based on where we are now and where we intend to go, is that we want this to be the go-to platform for professionals in these industries to be able to use our tools to do their work smarter, faster, and easier. And we want to be able to spread this around the world, because we have built into our platform, we're able to generate content in about 25 different languages. We just turned that feature off recently, but we have the feature built in. And one of our goals is to be able to reach out to folks in the so-called third world, because a lot of the competitors are focused on, obviously the US and markets that are more early adopters to these kinds of technologies. But we think there's a big opportunity for us in countries in Africa and Caribbean, Pacific, in South America, in different languages. We think there's a long-term opportunity here, because there are over 5 million people who work in these professions worldwide. So, that's the market opportunity that we are seeing. And so, our goal is to be able to, as we have the capacity to grow, then we will. I mean, if any of you guys are independently wealthy and you're looking for a good investment, then we can talk after this. But excuse me, but this is where we have come so far. And that is HelloScribe. At this point, I'll welcome any of your questions and comments and stuff like that.
Yeah, one question. So how long you say you'll be spending on this project so far? How long?
Well, I mean, it's been a process. So what you're seeing here is probably 17 years worth of work and experience.
Okay, I guess I would say, how long since you've been doing AI?
Oh, since AI, I started toying around with AI maybe mid-2019, somewhere around there, April, May. And then on this particular project, where we are now, I started in July maybe of January or February of 21, somewhere around there, where we are right now. And then, we have been through different iterations and phases and starts and stops and thing. But I would say seriously, in terms of where we are right now, last October is when we really started pressing the gas on this.
Okay, good. Yeah, man, it's made a lot of progress in a short amount of time then.
Yeah, that question. Well, first of all, really good product. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, thank you.
So do you have like or what's your marketing strat like? Because I mean, a lot of times, we as developers make products, we think it's a good product, but we're not really sure how to, distribute it or get people to know about it. So do you have any tips on like, marketing your product and like getting it out there so people can start using it?
I mean, really, on the internet, I mean, there's really just 3 ways to do it. At least 3 efficient ways to do it. The first a more expensive way, and the most profitable way to do it is through advertising. With advertising, obviously, you can, Google ads, Facebook ads, whatever, you're able to target your audience very precisely. You're able to understand, based on the feedback from your ads, what people are interested in, etc. So, I mean, in terms of distribution, advertising is by far the easiest and most profitable way to market your business. And, we have all the tools in our platform to be able to do that. The second most efficient way, but perhaps the most profitable long-term way to build the business is through content. This is kind of where we are now in terms of HelloScribe, trying to develop content for various platforms that will be useful for people. So we're talking both long-form content like articles, how to, writing articles around your stuff, a real, like an inbound type marketing campaign. Finding the appropriate keywords, writing the copy, writing the content. Social media, obviously, if you are able to get into the spaces where people are, the Facebook groups, the LinkedIn groups, the whatever groups, your own social pages is always a good place to start, even though the distribution figures will be a lot lower, especially if your content that you're creating is not like a popular niche, or it's not entertaining. So you have to find some way to make it entertaining. Like if you're going on TikTok or something, you have to find a way to make your product interesting and entertaining. So that's like the second most, efficient way to do it. And then the third most efficient way would be getting help through affiliate marketing. So whether you want to use some kind of affiliate distribution platform, or starting an affiliate program of your own where you're getting people to sell the product on your behalf and receiving a commission from having sold it. So those are the sort of three key ways that you can get, your product distributed. Also, it doesn't help if you get mentions in popular press, write-ups in the papers, popular business papers and stuff like that. It doesn't hurt your reputation if you get. The more quality backlinks you can get to your site, is the more your reputation improves over time, and the better more visible your product will be. But obviously, that is a more long-term strategy. Those are the three ways that I have seen. There might be more.
All right. Do you have any other questions? Anybody?
Yeah. I was a bit late.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was asking about the framework that was used.
Oh, in terms of the coding framework. So we use the
especially AI wise.
Oh, the platform that we use. Well, it's a combination between our GPT models, and we also had a fine-tuned model that we had developed internally of our own that we've put into this. So it's a combination of frameworks, but GPT-3 is one of the primary ones that we use.
Yeah, cool.
Also, you plan on upgrading to any of the new more fancy models that coming out recently?
Well, you see, the truth of the matter is that because of our domain that we're in sort of market, there are most of the models that you'll see coming out, they'll sort of perform, similarly. Over time, what we're striving for really is efficiency, really, how can we make the models perform at a high level, but at a cheaper cost? And so that's the sort of desire for any business that wants to grow over time. How can we make a very efficient product at a lower cost? So, at some time we might introduce different models to do different things. We might add different features that use different things, add different plugins and different features and different links, different integrations. There's a whole host of things to do. But to answer a specific question, yes, there is an opening for that. And as long as we can find a way to do it more efficiently at a high quality, we will.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying, sounds like you guys are satisfied with the quality of the output as of now, and you just want to get it faster.
Yeah, we're satisfied with the quality of the output. There are some areas in terms of features that we would like to improve because, as you say, everybody who is who has ever built a product will always see something wrong with it. Even with the market, there's nothing wrong with it. There's always something to improve. So yeah, our goal right now is really to enhance the user experience. You know, some design things that we need to do, and you know, a couple of other things that we need to fix in order to make it a solid product. And then we'll look at integrations and improvements and enhancements with new language models and so on.
Yeah, just wanted to emphasize. You mentioned, I think in fact the last meetup we had emphasized how what we see in the business world is that we identify a number of models that reasonably solves our problem. And we don't fall in love with a model for it. So, for example, suppose we found a language model. We don't fall in love with that model unless we see that it's of sufficient basis accuracy. So we identify a number of models and we do rapid experimentation design. Something I preach in my AI diploma as well. If I experiment with a number of models, you don't really fall in love with any one model. Rapidly experiment. So I identified, I really like that. But you quickly, you say, okay, let me identify GPT-3. It accurately solves your problem, at least a degree of your problem, and then you fine tune it. You train on top of that pre-trained model.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, these models are a means to an end. And this is really not magic. It's really method. To the consumer, it looks like magic, but to the developer, it's really method. And you can't really fall in love with the method unless it works. So the method might be a particular language model, but you know, not all language models are equal, and not all training of language models are equal either in terms of how you program the model to give you what you want. Not all of them are equal, because there are a couple of products out there, and I've gone through all of them, and some of them don't make sense, you know. So is a kind of a just adapting your mindset to be able to constantly improve the method by which you go about the things, as opposed to falling in love with as you said, the model itself and the magic behind it.
And one way my students normally try to teach my students to, and remember this, is like for the task of driving a car, a taxi, you wouldn't hire somebody who had 1 year of experience versus somebody who had 5 years. Typically, the person with 5 years is said to be pre-trained to a stronger degree, with more accuracy likely. So that's the example I like to give. Pre-trained brain is better for a task. Pre-trained brain with higher accuracy. Of course, normally. I like that you emphasize that.
Yeah, man. Any other questions? I see we have 2 minutes left. That's a hard 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's hard, but I guess do we have any more questions?
Yeah, man, feel free to fire them at me, you know, because I mean, controversial or not, you know, so we can get that towards that way if you want. Otherwise, if there are no questions, it's a pleasure. I'm really happy to know that you guys are working together on this. I know this is a young community, but please keep at it. There's so much to learn, so much to do. There's so much opportunity out there once you are looking at it through the right lens, not just as developers, but as entrepreneurs as well. And so as your community grows, I would encourage you to keep at it, because there's much to be done. You know, there's much to be done. There's enough things to be done, and you guys are probably the ones to do it.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks for your time, and thanks for coming and sharing about your company.
Yeah, man, no problem. And WhatsApp group, so feel free to reach out at any time. All right.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks,
All right. Big up everybody.
Respect everybody.